Hi everyone, get ready because we got a hashtag 12 decks, 4 prompts, and it's a VR to Angel at Feeding My Soul. So you can see my first deck there. Let's lower this and get busy. Okay, so my first prompt for the decks I had to use as soon as I got them. If you've been watching my channel, I just got this. There's a couple cards of nudity in it, but not much, and it just seems so different and so lovely. These are the backs. You can see that. They do sit a little bit longer in the hand. Bought it especially, as I mentioned in a previous video, for these two cards, the above and below. And they actually are meant to be seen on your table with the tree and the roots like so. So quite a magical thing if you want to work with above and below at the same time. And I've got to go quickly on this video, but I gotta say this is a fantastic little deck, different images, different art, and a few more of the cards in here. And I am noticing as I shuffle that some of the reversals have a lot more interest and power to them, even than when they're upright. So I'm not going to flip all of them around, but I did notice that. It was quite breathtaking the first time to see that happen, but I've been watching for them ever since. So great little deck, lots of facial expressions, and you know, the sun card in here, I've told one of my girlfriends that, not really crazy about the sun card in here, but I can see past that and keep working. So great little deck, highly recommend it, not terribly expensive on Amazon. Now, I must say I enjoy a tag because it gets you going through your bookshelf and playing with the cards. And a lot of these decks are decks that I got within the last year or so. Wild Reflections came in, liked the back, liked the modern take on it. Did do a reading right away with it for someone else and enjoy the modern take on it. The clean images, this one's not my favorite again, but there are some in here that are quite lovely. And it's got that color that I like. There's a little bit of a zing to it. And the backs look really fabulous when they're on a cloth. And it does do a good reading. So that is my Wild Reflections. Highly recommend that. Okay, the third one in this prompt, couldn't keep my hands off with this one. The first run through, a little bit tricky because, angels are wands, vessels are cups, demons are swords. There's one there. And humans are pentacles. But after I watched the videos again and again, since then, really liking this deck, and I like the energy in the video of the two, the angel and demon together, and it really has had an impact. So really liked this one, and those are the backs. So I should say that's an Insight Editions, Good Omens, lovely. Okay, the next one. The prompt is 3 decks that you never felt cause to use and why. And this one, it's got to come back out. It just has to, because I do like the images, I do like the concept, and it's got a cute little box here and a book included. And you can see that's liminal. So, I do have to do some studying with this one. But I hadn't until recently, and looking for, things to use for this video. Love that card. That, it prompted me to say, hey, how come you're not using this one? Get on it, girlfriend, because this has a lot to teach you. So this could even go into the final prompt in that you know, what decks do you want a really deep study with? This is one of them. I did have a comment when I first showed it because the comment was basically, you don't know what you're talking about with this deck. Well, I didn't, truthful. But, you know, everybody's got to start somewhere. And sometimes we just have to return to them at the right time in order to understand it all. So I do like the backs too. There's an owl there, and it looks like a heron there. But you know, I haven't had call to use it. I haven't been called to use it, but I'm gonna use it. This next one was a really good deal. But despite that, I hadn't been called to it. But again, it's another than one that, you know, why not? Because it comes with a really good book. It's got ample information, color photographs all the way through it. If anyone else has had this and haven't really used it that much, tell me why. Some of the images look a little bit sad. But the color is nice. It's saturated, and I do like that. Even the moon looks sad in that one. She's not too bad. This guy looks a little sad. But despite all that, there is something still that draws me to it when I picked it up again. Like, she really looks sad, the high priestess there. But there must have been a reason why I was drawn to it at one point, and it's time to find that again. So, really like the backs on this one. And this is just called Tarot Cards and Guidebook. I don't think it really has a name. It's been put out by Chartwell. So good stock, you know, and the back's delightful. So it's time. This next one I thought I would love, the Rose Pocket Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. But, and not to diss the artist in any way, it's just, you know, I like feminine and femininity decks, but these are too light, and you can see how some of them just don't stand up. You really gotta spend some time with this, and if your eyes are not that great, you're gonna find this one a little bit difficult. You know, the book, it has some good information in it, yeah, but look, it's just too light. Too light. All right, moving on. Now, this last one, the Zillick Tarot, for this prompt. Why, Lori, have you not been using it? Not caused to? Well, because some of the images, I'd like them to be a little bit more saturated too. I do like watercolor, and I like the watercolor effect of things. But these are a little bit similar to the Rebecca Campbell deck, except then you get these ones that are really saturated and nice, but you got to hunt around. And then in this one, the Princess of Wands, it looks like a alligator and a donkey and some other creature, and I just don't know why, but yet then I really like that one. So one day maybe, like there's a figure in here, hard to see. And this one looks like, you know, it goes well with the Queen of Swords though, because it looks like she's sitting in a snowbank or a snowdrift. But some just don't have enough for me. Like, I'd like to see the sword in the Magician's hand just to get that going. The Five of Wands strife. It does look like a bird, which is fine. That one does, because of the coloring, look a little sad. So it has potential. Maybe the time just hasn't come yet. But that is the Zillick Tarot. Okay, the next category or prompt is 3 decks in your collection you want to do a deep study with. Okay, slide it on over. There you go. I want to deep dive into the Witch Sister Tarot. I think that there's a lot more in here, looking at the images, that I can use to bring info. I think I was particularly studying one day the backgrounds and the flowers and trying to bring that element in, because I do like the language of flowers. So you've got some thistle, looks like a Scottish thistle there. Maybe this is, oh, I had it in my head. Hawthorn berries. Holly berries, maybe. So this is one, even with the butterfly, the transformation there, the change. But, you know, if I could bring some elements of the plants into it as well, because I don't think every description defines this in the book. And especially the one she's holding on to so closely there. Maybe that one does, but, you know, there's some strawberries here. So this is one, especially with the foxglove, that I really want to do a deep study with and get into all these strong women, these characters here. The backs, I've always said, have never thrilled me, but these do. So some deep study is in order for these ones. They do have a bit of a gloss, and they are a little bit slippery, but this is one of the deep studies I want to do. Now, I'm sure everybody's seen this deck. I hope you're not sick of seeing it, but it did entice me when I received it. But when I found this book, then I got really excited. And this would be one that I would do the deep study in with this book. So it is a author Chris Ann, put out by Hay House. And again, another saturated coloring, which I like very much. Those are the backs. And it does have that whimsy running through it, but it has some depth at the same time. The more modern version, still getting the RWS images, but some of them are just breathtaking. And it's one of those decks, when you use it, it lifts your spirits. But the deep study will come in, and I saw Debbie's witchy vlog talking about her enjoyment of this book. And I like the fact that you get, you know, a spread for each card. You get a chance in some of them, like this one, where it's almost like looking into her study book when she created this. That appeals to me a lot. It's like when I pick up a book and there's certain things that stand out, I make notations in the side. So this is a very user-friendly book, but you learn a lot more. Even when I was doing my Marseille, to pick up on some of these spreads, just to go a little bit deeper with the meanings. And, you know, I think that would trigger when you're doing some readings for other people or yourself. You know, you've spent some time, you've studied, you've taken that one card into different spreads and really, you know, researched, did your work, went to school, and have something then to show at the end as far as knowledge. So that is another deep study for me. And let's see, the Lightseer's Tarot. I'm trying to see who published it. I know, oh, another Hay House. Okay, my next deep study. It's been sitting on the shelf too long. Tarot of the Divine, and it brings in the folklore and fairy tales from around the world. Great little box that it comes in. Really like the feel of the cards. It has that sort of linen quality to it. A little bit disjointed when I read with it because I don't know the fairy tales well enough. But if you spend some time with it, I'm sure it will begin to talk And then you can pick up the little nuances from each of the fairy tales when you do your spreads. So the cards, they really shuffle nicely. It's a thick and chunky deck. My goodness me. And I did go ahead because I wanted to deep dive, and I got the Stickerology book that goes with it. Because I do like looking back on my readings when I can see images. Sometimes the words that I've written become a blur, but being an artist first, the images help. So to do some deep dives, set aside a book of some sort so I can record the readings and visually see it. Yes, it comes with another little book when you buy the deck. Fabulous. Then I went ahead and bought this one, because you get the stories and the full colors. So really, really nice. And learning to tell a story. I'm sure that would help most of us on YouTube to be able to look at our images if we're reading for someone else and really get the storyline going. And if anything triggers something from our past and bringing that up. Might be great for working with ancestors. Not sure, but that is another deep dive. Okay, now these are to be 3 decks that you want to use before the end of the year. And this has been sitting on my shelf way, way too long. I have to admit, I don't know if it's still for sale. This I got at a thrift store, put out by AGM. It's in really good shape still. And again, it's a little bit different imagery for me. I guess you would call it sort of modern, funky, crude, whatever you want to say. But, the images do have energy. And it could be something for younger people, if I was reading for them. It does have that Sunday comic look to it almost, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because I used to love reading the Sunday comics. I mean, look at that magician, full of potential, full of hope. I love this little hand coming down here. So there are things to really like about this Kitty Kahane tarot. And by the end of the year, if I could get a chance, unwrap myself and open up, I guess, to the potential of working with something that seems kind of fun. Like, yippee, let's get into it. I'll just love this. So I don't know why I'm not working with it. Kitty Kahane. Okay, so I did a video about this, and it was like one of those most overlooked, I think, tarot decks. And I did feel the buzz when I got this one. And you can see it's the Mystical Manga Tarot. Again, young, lively, happy deck. Not a bad size, pretty good card shuffler. Yep. So, and this, the back's quite nice, looks great on a cloth. Image-wise, got a dreamy sort of sci-fi feel to it for me. I just adore that fool. Does have a bit of a glare to it. If you like manga, you're probably going to like this. Like, look at that Ace of Swords. Yummy. I love the Hierophant. So there's so much to love. So before the end of the year, this is another one I want to get into. But, we only have so much time. And then we go ahead and order other decks. Things get shuffled off to the side. And we need to start appreciating some of the decks we have and the value that they can bring, right? So that is going to get some time. Okay, second one before the end of the year. Come on, we're almost there. Tarot de la Nuit. I had to have this deck, and I liked the nighttime feel it had. And now I just got it, like it's hardly even broken in. Well, let's just say it's not because Lori was naughty, but love some of these poses. The 5 of Cups. And, it does have that vampire feel, nighttime. I seem to be gravitating towards wanting some of those nighttime candlelit type decks. Maybe if we're in the evening, instead of watching TV, find myself down here looking at some of these gorgeous images. So that's the Hanged Man there. Wispy, that's on the box cover. She's got quite an image to her. So there's another one for the end of the year. As I put myself back in school and learn. What a fabulous judgment card. All the details there. And the lantern. Wow. Okay, so that's that one. Another one for the end of the year, my last one. I'm going to be a busy girl. This one I got at Winners. I did a walkthrough of it, and it's just sort of like a no-name type deck. It doesn't really come with a book. It comes with a journal opportunity, or for recording what you find in your cards. They are monstrous in size. I have long fingers, but come on. This is incredible. A little bit hard to shuffle. Some people, when they saw the review, said that, they didn't quite like the angled borders. Put them off a little bit. But it's another one of those black and gold that appeals to me. Still got your RWS. Like, look at the detail in the snow there with the little pointillism. So even though it's a no-name deck, it does have the Pamela Coleman Smith look to the images. And I don't know how it would work at candlelight, if you'd see all the images, if they glow in the dark. I think they would glow in the dark. But for a study deck, could be fun. And why not give it a chance? So by the end of the year, I want to put a little bit more time and effort into this no name, no nonsense, cheap deck with pretty good card stock, There's a similar image to one or two of the decks I showed today. Seems to be quite popular, this little diamond on the back. But I'm going to have to, I guess, stack this one in piles when shuffling because it's a monster. But that is one for the end of the year. So I hope you had fun with that. I did. I like getting them down off the shelf because, they're pretty to look at, but they're better to be used. So let's celebrate our decks. Why not? Everyone, this is a great little hashtag if you want to join in. And it will give you the chance to go through your decks. So thank you, Angel. Really appreciate that. And let's have a divination type day. Dig in.